going to take a look at this market really quickly here. I have your message. I got your message, my friend, and yes, I tried to respond back to you. I'm sorry, I'm a little late on that, but you're more than welcome to pick up that indicator suite. You're absolutely more than welcome to do that. I look forward to your call. Thank you for being here. Most viewed videos here, live threshold, how far the candle pulled back before resuming the price action trend. You just need to be able to count to 10. And then, of course, the price action method. I use the majority principle, which states that the minority is compelled to follow. They're forced to do so. And then that chart scale, I teach you how to read your heart rate edge. I hope you guys have been using the ranges. I haven't mentioned them in a while, but those ranges are important. I took and put the snapshot out here. I actually did it a little earlier when they were down at the bottom of that range. All right, so we're going to take a look. We're going to take a quick look at that information, but yeah, make sure you're using that. Oh, yes, I did say, and I hope you guys caught that. Yeah, so it can definitely move up. The high is weak, but we need to close above that signal bar. All right, we need to do that. And then of course back here, where was I at? Right here. Okay, no close back below that 29,851. We need to close above that signal bar. All right, so that's this hourly. There's our signal to push X. But we have that here, and so they gave a first response here, and then here come another one. They already went through that zone, but that's that level I put out there at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. What was it? Sunday. Sunday. I put it out there at 7 o'clock. They rotated down all day on yesterday as well. This morning they was down here, and then they tried to turn around. All right, so that's your hourly pullback. I did the daily pullback back on the 10th. I gave you that price there. I gave you this price here, and as you can tell, they both were above the market, and they turned around. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to be in front of the candles. We're not going to wait until the market turn. All right, so we're going to give you just a little bit of information that you can go with and try to follow along. That's all. Try to follow along. I'm gonna see can I get this reading the chart with you going. All right, so they fell under that price. Let's you said that 1 second. Let me throw this in frame two because this is essentially the let's go over the indication so you know because we've been covering that push indicator. So what I did, that push X. So what I did was I put the bar color in here. So you got the push X bar color running in this chart here. And then of course the volume benchmark institution, we got the signals for that being plotted. Matter of fact, let me hollow out these candles a bit because I only want to see the color of the bars itself. And so let me do this really quickly here. Bear with me. I don't like to do this while the video is running, but I'm wanting to get this done because I want you to only look at the push because we've been covering that. All right, that's important. All right, so let's go with the push X on a 5 second chart. All right, that's our bar color. Then we got the benchmark institution, which is what I highlighted in yesterday's video. That 5 second chart had the benchmark color in it. What I did was I wanted to just put the signal here and the volume down below. So we got the volume benchmark institution volume down at the bottom, and we got the volume benchmark institution text up here, which is a little square with an I in it. All right, so I want you to look at the push while because we've been covering the push. So let's just put it all together. We're trying to trap red, so we want to trap the institutional red on the inside, and oftentimes they don't want to get back in front of the bar. In most cases, I know they kind of dove back down here, but they recovered because if you go ahead and break back past this low with that green sitting up here, this institutional green, that can cause another problem and they'll run down, just like they've been doing up here. Okay, so that can cause a major problem. So we don't want them to do that. All right, so they trapped it here. You can kind of tell here they kind of danced at that price just a bit, just kind of going up and down. And then of course they're on their way. All right, and we have the little volume indicator. Try to read the volume here on this little 5 second chart for you. And all you're doing is, again, you can get behind the push bars. You don't want them closing under them. You really don't. And you can treat them the same way. They shouldn't close, want to trade back in front of them. So both of these prices is really significant to keep this up as well as this because they just made that one. So you're just trying to keep them in front of these bars. That's all. Just keep them in front of the bars and they should go. All right. Now let's take a look at that bounce that they made. We'll come back to that in just a second. They made that bounce down here and turn the market around. Where is it at? I know it's down here. Okay, so yeah, they came off of this price here. Let me take that price line off, because you know what, I'll leave it there, forget it. But there's that bounce. All right, we can kind of show you here. All right, the push institution was right here. And do pay attention, because when this signal come in, if they don't hold the bar, okay, they will at least rotate. All right, so if they held the bar that time, they pushed it a little bit lower, but sometimes they're going to rotate the moment you see that signal. It's warning you that that's possible. Trapping the of course, that red bar, we need the institution on the inside, and they're trapping our push. All right, they're trapping the push. It can go. I told you that's a signal all in itself if they can get past that. Now here's that red. All right, so now they're trapping that institutional activity there. All right, went up a little bit, but then they turned the corner. They didn't want to break that low. All right, so they didn't want to break that low. They kind of turned around, danced a little bit, but notice what they're doing. All right, so you're getting the red institutional signal in here. They're going above it. All right, so they're validating this low. That's what we use that indication for. We're just wanting to validate the turn. That's all. Just keep them from blowing that pivot. And then, of course, they trapped that green here. Well, it can't be both. All right, so it can't be both. And then, of course, they came in with the red inside that shoulder, and they're breaking it. All right, so now they're moving themselves up. It's just that simple. All right, so a lot of fluctuations there, just a lot of fluctuations, but let's keep mind of what they're doing. All right, so here's the push indicator. I just wanted to show you that bottom there. Now let's try to read a little bit of this information here. All right, so yeah, you're more than welcome to the indications, my friend. You don't need them. I'll be the first to tell you don't need them. Let me do this. It's just for timing. If you're having problems with timing, or you want to look behind, let's kind of shrink this down. I want to have them both in screen for you guys. If you want to have a little bit of information helping you read that 1 minute chart, that's all. You want to have a little bit of information kind of guiding you along. Do you need it? No. I'll be the first to tell you you don't need it. I try to teach you guys how to read the chart with nothing on it, so that way you're not taken advantage of by the market. All right, so do your best to show the support if you can. If you can't, I understand. I absolutely understand. All right, so I appreciate the four of you to hit the like button on the last video. I appreciate that. So that's a trend. That's the trend dot there. The indications are listed up above. All right, so we got the no touch pressures. Okay, we got the increase, which will try to find the big wick, little wick, and then the small body, bigger body. And then we got the trend indicator. That's going to find your trend. All right, so we got all that, and that's what that dot is. The IN is the increase. All right, so it went that far. Now the center of the trend. Let's just kind of throw this here. The center of the trend, let's go with this. Center of the trend is here. They came right down to the center of the trend. Matter of fact, let me draw it out this way. Center of our trend, we got our 7. They came to the center of the trend here, all right? And then, of course, they had made a trend off this high, but then they popped it with that little lift. They popped it, and of course, they still up. Even though they took that dive, they never made a trend back down, so they're just up. All right, so now what we do, and you can watch this information down here. You can watch that, but I'm going to outline this really quickly here. All right, so here's our last scenario that said it would go up. All right, so what we're going to do, that's suggesting, just suggesting that it's going back to our price. Now we got another trend back up, but again, it was still up because they knocked this trend down. So now this is saying, now this is what this is saying now, if you want to go with that. I mean, it's still one and the same if you ask me, but try to do it with volatility. Now this is volatility saying that they're going to go this far. All right, so let's just kind of look at all of that. And I said on that post that, yeah, it can absolutely go back through the high. The high is weak. All right, it has reason to move down. I've been outlining reason for the last couple of weeks, but again, there's our signal. All right, so let me show you the hourly bar here. They ran under our signal, our push signal. That's our push signal here. No close under that bar. We've been doing this for the past 2 weeks. You can see the chart, all the reactions. All right, all the reactions. And again, that's that price level. That's that price level here. I gave that again, 7 o'clock. You know, and that was before they got there. They was like down here. And then, of course, they got there, no close under that bar. They kind of held it for a bit, and then, boom, they took off, and they made it to this price again that I gave back on the 10th. I want you to keep in mind of what I'm showing you here. All right, so now here we go. All we're doing is using the indications to try to get closer. That's all. All right, so you can use whatever you want. You want to use whatever kind of indicators you want, you can go right ahead. I'm gonna use mine, the ones I created. All right, they're not based on no kind of oscillator or anything like that. All right, just knowing price and how price behave. All right, so yeah, that seems about right. It can probably get there as well. All right, so now they're getting above that price, and again, I said we need support above here, so it kind of makes sense that they fell all up under it. That totally makes sense. All right, so yeah, the volume institution here. All right, so the volume institution here, let me just kind of open this up just a bit more so you can see it. The volume institution came in here. You can see the little red signal down here. That came in, and then of course they picked it up. That's what you want to see with these red squares, or that volume institution volume down there. You want to see them just come in and pick it right back up. All right, so no closing back in front of here, hopefully, or just use it for support right here at this price here. So they may want to drive back down just a little bit. The threshold of the bar, I forgot to put it up there, but let me draw it out for you. Let me draw it out for you. It's really simple. Not going to hold you long, but again, yes, my friend, you're more than welcome. I like to use the one on the colored bars. Now, this is just me. Now, you're more than welcome to go with that one right there. Remember what I told you guys on yesterday. If they go too far in your bar, they can run the bar. All right, so just try to keep mind of that. Now, I'm going to outline that for you here. Let me go ahead and outline that. You got a bar. Please master this. Please master this, because you will not succeed as a trader if you don't get this understood. The oscillating bar, the bar that's jumping up and down, the live bar, when it drives back, more than halfway is a problem. All right, so I'm gonna just say more than halfway. Threshold is it's some math, but don't worry about it. Just more than halfway is a problem. It can run your bar, so it needs to hit that threshold and take right back off. All right, so same thing here. They can pull back into your bar. More than halfway, it can cause a problem, and they need to go. All right, just really important. I like using the bar with the color. That's all. I like using that one there. Okay, so the institution is getting complicated up here on the top of that bar, and they're trying to break it. What will they do with this one? This is a tricky one. Okay, so they just came back in on that absolute bottom trying to pick it up. This is a tricky one. All right, so they came in back inside that shoulder. They get ready to break this high. Let's see if they can get right through it. They're trapping the red in there. So they're trapping that institutional bar in here. So that's good. You want them to go ahead and do that. You didn't, okay, hit that high, break the high, please. Yeah, they broke. Did they break it? Yeah, they broke it. That's good. All right, so now they can lean back over. They want to. I know they're coming in here. They may want to lean back in this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, come on back in here. All right, so yeah, you just don't want them to trap that green under that high right there, and blow past it, because then it creates a whole nother situation. I believe that's what they're doing now, though. They put two. I believe that other one here. Let me check these highs here. I know it's kind of moving fast on me here. High 85.75. What is this high? Okay, now I can definitely say 84. Yeah, they trapping it. It's trapping it under that high. So they're selling on the top of this bar. But we don't really want them closing back in front of these red bars. Well, the red signals here. We really don't want that. But if they blow back past this one, they definitely gonna dive down a little bit more. Hopefully they won't do that. Hopefully they won't do that. All right, so let me go back up here. Just keep an eye on that too while I'm talking about this other information here. All right, so yeah, so that's important. Please do not kid yourself. This is very significant. All right, you want to make sure they don't take out more than half of your bar, because they'll run it. All right, so they're coming back with the institutional move here. Hopefully it's not to force it down. I think it is. Yeah, they're on the top of that wick. They're on the top of that wick. Remember what I just told you, go too far into the bar, they'll run it. All right, and so this is kind of saying that too. They're trapping that institutional green in there. Hopefully they can pick them up right here. Can't be both. I know they got some way to go here. They do, but they're up here on the high of these wicks. All right, they're up here. Now remember what I told you about the overlapping bar. Let me go over that real quick, because I think they're going to dive down a little bit more. Yeah, they're coming in trying to force it. All right, so here we go. Oh, I didn't mean to cover that. All right, so let me drive this down just a bit so you can see that. All right, remember I told you about the overlapping scenario? You get the bar here, then you get these four that want to land inside of it. It can be four or more, to be honest with you. Four or more. I want you to keep that in mind. If you see three and we're not ready to go, yeah, it's gonna be four more. Yeah, see, I told you they're forcing it down. Again, we knew that on this bar. That's what my tools are meant to do, to help you. That's all. You can buy anybody tools you would like to buy. That's all of it. That sucks. They're gonna probably run this one. I hate that. Let's see what this threshold got. You're more than welcome to purchase anybody else's tools. Yeah, for $400 for one indicator. I'm gonna give you 300 of them for $100, man. Because I know reading the market is significant. All right, that's all. It's significant. I want to help you as a trader. I just want to help you. All right. So if you want the help, take the help. If you don't, I totally understand. All right. Free information to get you there. That's why I'm trying to teach you how to read the chart without this stuff. All right, just want to tell you that we need to close over the hourly bar. Let's see if we went above it. Yeah, I understand that response. I get that response. Yeah, we went above it. That's the problem right there when we went above it. All right, so I believe they'll take this bar out, but they may want to go in and recover it. I mean, because this threshold is relatively close as well. But we need them to show up because right now they're forcing it down. You see that response at that price. And again, I gave you that on Sunday. Well, I gave the people on the social media Sunday, 7 o'clock that evening, told them that that price was significant and that the market might take a dip. Um, Okay, so let me finish going over this information. All right, so let me go over this. All right, so that's that overlapping stuff. You don't want the mid of this candle. This mid of this candle fall into that candle, you got a problem. All right, so the next thing I want to tell you is this. All right, so now we want the mid of this bar to exceed that bar. Should that happen, they're trying to pick it up. They're trying to. Let's see what they do when they get up there. Now again, you can use your push, this the push bar color. All right, you want them to trap the red. That is good. So if you can't get the volume institutional move, now the volume institution is coming into it. Hopefully it'll validate this pivot and they can go on up there and run that high. It's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be a challenge. I will say. Let's just watch how it goes out. Go about it. Let's just watch, see how they do this. All right. So now the next bar. Here's the next bar. Here's the next bar. You want the midpoint beneath that low. This bar turned red or green. It can be either or. All right, so if they're validating that pivot, if they're going to validate that pivot and blow back past this guy, you would be picking that up. I'm going to be honest. You don't want to do that because that brings us to our next scenario here. Big wick, big wick, little wick. All right, and yeah, they're coming in. So yeah, all right, big wick, little wick. See, that's that big wick, little wick. See, that's why I said you might not want to do that. I think that makes sense running the back of this bar. I told you they come past that threshold like that. Them guys can run that bar. All right, that can be a problem. The next thing you'll want to find is the smaller body, bigger body scenario. All right, so the small body needs to fit in there at least twice. It may not be this. All right, it may not be this. That's fine. If you can get that body to fit in there twice, you're doing just fantastic. I want to tell you that you're doing wonderful. All right, so again, the increase indicator will try to find these scenarios, the wicks and the body being able to fit in. It'll try to find that, and then the bar color just lights up based on, of course, the majority, which is this. All three of these are that, but definitely this. You want to see this. This is like really blatant because then it gets you away from this. That's what you want to do, is get away from that. Now the center of the scale. Let's talk about that before I go. Center of the scale. Center of the scale. They're still bullish. Lower half of the scale, right, is here. Now I'm going estimation here. I'm teach you how to read your bezel. Upper part of your scale, big wick, little wick. Okay, we want to get that going. I doubt the rest of it will be there, but I see them coming into this. Okay, I see them coming into this. Let's see what they do. Will they lean over and give us that institutional move and then blow back past it and validate this pivot? Because they didn't do it here. They didn't do it here. I see them coming in. I doubt they'll make it back this way. This makes sense if they can hold this threshold. This makes a lot of sense. And then let's just go through the high. All right, so when it comes to the all in one here, well, actually the wick doesn't meet the criteria. You got two in one. Sometimes they can give it to you in front, but then sometimes it can show up on the internal side of it. I just want to tell you that, so be on the lookout for it. All right, so now we're validating the pivot. If we can blow past this guy, let's hope that that's what they want to do. Push slightly into the bar, not too far. Remember I just talked about this. So hopefully they'll validate it. I'll say it that way. All right. So you got the institutional move here, pushing it down, but that can also be for them to recover it and pick it up, because we don't want them to come back past here. They'll do the same thing they did up here when they trapped it here. It started here on the top of that green wick. All right. On the inside that wick, it started here. All right. And then of course they revisited that wick with this push here. With that little red bar here, they pushed into it. That sucked because then they blew past that wick. All right, so they came back off of that wick, and that's what created that big red bar here. All right, just want to bring you back up to speed. All right, so yeah, so they validated it. They're validating that pivot, which I told you, I think that kind of makes sense. They ran into our threshold. See our threshold here. They ran past that bar. It sucks, but here's one here. They ran into it. They turned around. This is our threshold on this bar. They touched it, not by much, but they touched it. All right, I'm just going estimation here. They touched it, not by much. All right, and so now what is the market suggesting? They never made our distance for this setup here. They never made it. So we're still actually kind of waiting on that. That's here. That's here. Not that's that trend distance. Don't worry about that. It's this one here. All right, it's this one here. They never made it. They just came back, really shook the tree a little bit, and now they're back on their way. All right, so they're trying to set this scenario up again. I hope that's not it, because they've got a lot of them coming in under this high. So we need to break the top of this wick, or otherwise they're gonna take another little fancy little dive back down. Come on, break the top of this wick. Please break the top of that wick. Do not break them, guys. Now we just don't want. Yeah, see that's not fun. Here we go. We just don't want them really operating back in front. They're doing it again. Same thing they kind of did over here. Hopefully it don't last though. We just don't want them really operating back in front of here. Can't be both. So let's see what we got. Now, if you do this one, all right. So here we go. You come onto the playlist. I teach you time. This to me is okay, and it's good to do. I mean, it's great practice. Trust me, it's great practice. But you come over to the playlist, you'll learn other tactics that deal with time, like when the market going to turn before it turns. And you'll know it. Like, hey, it's a good chance it's going to turn, and then all you do is wait for what you need to see to show up. That's it. That's it. That's how I'm able to tell you about price before it gets to the price. Hey, there's a price up here. I know that price is important. Hey, I know they'll come back past that pivot. It's a reason. It's not following indications. It's education. All right. So it's reasons. I've been doing this for a very long time. You want to be on the playlist again for what you'll spend for, let's say, two indicators, and like sometimes just one indicator. I'll offer you education, something that'll change your trading, man. So you don't have to keep wondering what price is going to do. You'll know. You'll know. Yeah, I told you sometimes the institutional signal come in and it can bend price a bit. It can cause it to rotate. See, like here, they come in a little early and it drifts just a little bit, but then it flips. All right, just depends on which side they're on. That's why you want them to trap, of course, the opposite signal, so that way it kind of confirms what they're intending to do. That's all. But yeah, if you want to be a part of that, you're more than welcome. You don't have to. Again, there's tons of free information here on the channel that can get you there. Tons of free information. Matter of fact, this stuff right here I just finished talking about, it'll get you there. It'll get you there. But if you want something more, that's all. If you want something more, something that'll make sense. So you're not just doing this. This is fun, and I think this will get you right where you want to go. If you just want to, get to a goal of consistency, yeah, absolutely. You can take this free stuff and get that going. I promise you can. I wouldn't put it on YouTube if I didn't think so. All right, and my free content is outperforming stuff that people are paying for. I wanted to go ahead and say that outright. All right, so I'm really wanting to make sure that the trader have a better experience. That's all, better experience. All right, so let's see what we got. I see them here, so let's hope that that's them picking it up. Real active at this price. Let's look at our hourly. Let's see what they're doing. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Never close beneath that bar. Remember, I put that on here. Let me go get that. Remember, I put that on here. Okay, we need to remain above 29,851. Okay, I'm sorry, close above the sales signal. Yes, okay. Okay, no close back below 29,851. All right. So yeah, so I put that there. All right. I put that there, and oh, there's another signal. That's just fantastic. That's just wonderful. That's just wonderful. All right, so yeah, so that's what we got there. All right, so yeah, they're still up. All right, so that's my time with you. I hope you've enjoyed this time. Again, if you need the indications, just email me. Let me know. I'll provide them for you. $100, you'll have a template. You'll have these templates. All right, everything you're saying, you'll have it. If you want it, it's there for you. $100. If you want education, I promise you, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't get education. If you don't follow indications. Now that's a lag, if you ask me. Get education. The stuff on the channel is fantastic. I must say it is. It's absolutely fantastic to do. It is. Just go in a direction that better suits you. I'll say that. If you don't need education and you just want some indication, that's what it's here for. But I can honestly tell you, for anyone that's coming to the channel, if you need education, do not hesitate. All right, don't keep following indicators. Don't do that. Don't do that. I want to go ahead and say that to you. It's okay to have these things, but don't do that. Free yourself from that. All right, I want you to be able to look at any chart and know what's going on. far beyond this information here, far beyond, so you can get ahead of the sticks and know there's a good chance that price can perform in this manner moving forward. All right, I wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.